Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Speaking of Curves. I'm Marie Dene, the creator and owner of The Curvy Fashionista. I missed you guys on Tuesday. You know, life happened, the moon, everything's going on right now. But today we are back with an uber fun guest. I know that we're going to have a great time today. But before I introduce our guest, as you're joining us, make sure that you share, join in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know if this is your first time. Share with a girlfriend, invite her over to come and have a conversation with us. Today we're gonna, when we started the Speaking of Curves, it's all about showing support and love to the plus size community, indie designers, influencers, people in the community that we need to show love to and support, especially now, especially as the world is crumbling around us for some people. And we're trying to figure out how to stay encouraged, how to support, how to make sure our plus folks are here sans pandemic. And so today we are back with a fun guest, and we're gonna I hope you're ready, because I already know we're gonna be laughing and giggling all the way through. But Miss Courtney Nichole is an actress, and you may know her as Mama Leah on Tyler Perry's Assisted Living, which just kicked off. But she's been in various shows. You may even know her from earlier this year when she was the one who checked those folks who was trying to vandalize Starbucks with the BLN. She checked them, you probably saw it. It went viral. There's almost 1 million hits on it, right? So we're going to have a conversation. Make sure you say hello. And you got a couple of you guys are already jumping in and saying hi. And do me a favor and welcome me in join me in welcoming Miss Courtney Nichole. Hello, darling. Oh, you're muted, baby. You're muted. There we go.
Look, that's all this Zoom technology. Hi, Marie.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so happy to be here with y'all today.
I'm so excited that you have joined us. I mean, and you're all this yellow come through color and vibrancy. Especially you're in California right now, so it's hecka early in the morning.
It is, and it's already hot, girl. Look, it's already hot.
You come through with the morning beat already. Come on, sis. I hope you.
Yes.
I hope you're gonna take some pictures. Don't waste this beat.
We are not, because this is an all-day look, honey. I'm gonna make the husband take me on a date. We can go somewhere, get some ice cream or something. Look,
because you're a newlywed too.
I am a newlywed.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh,
yes. It's been, especially Black love, we got to show it. It's, right now is a beautiful time to show our expression of love for each other. You know what I'm saying? I think that we've gotten a bad rap sometimes, but a few of us are trying to make this thing work. So we're doing it. Yes.
Well, thank you. Oh, we have Keisha said congratulations. Miss Keisha said congratulations, girl.
Thank you, girl. I appreciate that. Good.
Yes. And so for those of us who are just meeting you for the first time, who are kind of already in the plus space, and you are really I don't want to say rising star, because you've been in this game for a minute, but you have a very strong presence in this new show, this new series. For those of you guys who don't know your journey, because you used to be a teacher.
Yes.
You went from being a teacher in Chicago. You're born and raised in Chicago.
Born and raised in Chicago.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, sure. So born and raised in the Chi, on the South Side. When you say you're from Chicago, they like, what side? What side are you from? Right? So I'm from the South Side of Chicago. I grew up in the hundreds, as they say, Roseland area. I went to Kenwood Academy. So if there are any Broncos out there listening, repping my high school. And then after that, my mom. So see, now I wanted to go somewhere where it was hot. I was like, I'm tired of this snow, and
Chicago is not a joke.
Girl, it's like post-traumatic stress disorder trying to get that snow off the car, But so, and my mom really wanted me to go to an HBCU. So I looked those up, and I ended up going to Alabama A&M in Huntsville, Alabama. I majored in education, and just to take even a little step back. So, when you're younger, I think, I used to say I want to be a star. I want to be a model, and I want to be an actress. And I think, you get to a point in life where you start looking around and you start being realistic
Okay.
Right. And, I was like, oh, you know how they tell boys that everybody can't play football and everybody's not going to make it to the NBA and the NFL. I was like, well, maybe I can't be an actress. Maybe I don't need to pursue that. Maybe I'm not. And, I was lucky to have a passion for education and kids. I've had some wonderful teachers in my life that made an impact, on my journey. Hey, from South Africa, I see it popping up. So I did that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to teach, right? I love the kids. I want to be a positive influence to my community, and give that same love that I received, back to someone. And I think that a little bit of what happened is as I continue to tell my babies that they can live their dreams, and try to instill in these children not to stop and continue to, just live out whatever that big dream is. It kind of just manifested that belief in my dreams even more.
It kind of reminded you, like, girl, you over here telling these kids to chase them dreams. Like, what are your dreams?
Exactly.
You kind of were kind of face to face with what you were saying.
It was a mirror, right? It was like, oh, okay, well, if you putting a mirror on them, turn it around and look at yourself, Courtney.
Right.
And so I started back as an adult, getting back into the industry, right? And I was teaching in Atlanta. So they call Atlanta the Hollywood of the South. I was like, well, this is the perfect way, right? Like, so I was like, all right, let's pull up. We're going to go get some headshots. We're going to do the thing. We're going to get back to acting class.
Right.
And so I did that. And for a long time, I was doing both things. I was teaching and I was still like acting and trying to do what I could. Like, and, when you're working in the independent market, you want to, start working on some good things,
Like SWAT?
Right, like SWAT. So now,
how was that with Shamar? Was it Shamar?
Hold on. Now, Shamar Moore was so wonderful.
I'm so sure.
Girl, when I saw the script, I was like, because you don't know all the time who you're gonna be working with when you audition. I was like, oh, honey, this scene right here is with Shamar Moore. Come on.
Okay.
He was so wonderful, though.
Does he smell wonderful?
He smells good. He hugs well. He smiles.
Yeah. And he probably looks you directly in your eye.
He was very
my bearings. Like, let me just focus. Okay, go ahead.
Girl, let me tell you a little tea. So the director for that episode, his name is Billy. And Billy is like, if you look him up on his page, he's big, one of those bigger than life people. And so after the first take, he kind of came and whispered in my ear. And he was like, hey, so when you do the line, I want you to run your finger down his face. I was like, oh my gosh, this man is so what you trying to do to me? You trying to set me up, get me kicked off the set for Shamar to be like, this woman's harassing me. And he was like, no, do it like that. He was like, we do it all the time. And of course it wasn't the take that they were going to use, but they like to have it. So I went and I did it again, and as soon as we cut, like, Shamar just started cracking up, right? So it's something they do to him all the time. But I was like, oh, that was super sweet. But
I mean, he's sexy. I'm just gonna say it. He's sexy.
Yeah.
So you've done SWAT. Now you're on Tyler Perry's Assisted Living, which just debuted.
Yeah.
And this journey for you from where you recognized your dream to now you're a featured star in this series. Mm-hmm. How does that feel, especially when you look around you at your co-stars? Because you got the mans over there.
So I'm going to take it a step back to when they told me in the room what I was going to be working on and who I was going to be working with. Okay. Like, so Mark Swinton is in this meeting. He's the executive producer over there, right? And he's like, so do you know Tamala and David Mann? And I said, well, honey, what are you asking me? Right? Like, that's like asking me, am I black?
Right. I mean, because I remember them from Kirk Franklin days.
Yes. Yes.
I know them.
Yes. Singing in the choir, honey, with all of them, right? So I was like, okay. And then they went to go mention, J. Anthony Brown. And I'm like I grew up in Chicago. Like I said, he used to be on the Tom Joyner morning show. Like that man has worked for years. So I was like, of course, I'm very familiar with J. Anthony Brown. I'm a fan. And I was just like, okay. And then they hit me with who my husband was going to be, right? I'm like, okay, Naeem Lynn from the Plastic Cup Boys. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then me.
No pressure.
No, and then with Tyler Perry, right? So you can imagine my first day on set, just trying to keep my nerves together and be professional. Okay.
Right.
I said, now this man done hired me. I can't get on here and act like I'm starstruck, right? I still got to come in and do my job, right? But
now, when did you start taping this?
We started taping in January. So it was right before the pandemic.
So for you as an actor, going through, like, it with your own kind of visibility, with your own career, kind of clashing with, like, the world, right? So for me, being a media platform, and, for me, everything went, and, having to do all these pivots and kind of having to reassess and reevaluate where your priorities are. In this, once you were starting to tape and the world paused, and we get hit with, BLM, the peak BLM, like, how was that journey through this for you? Because you have an amazing show. You're, now, like, around all these giants, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, how did that journey feel?
So a couple of things, Marie. Like, I mean, I think, like, a lot of us that are on social media, we're like, oh, well, I don't really use my platform for this, right? I rather just, have my nice pictures, and have a great presentation. But I think the morning that I woke up and saw the video of the modern day lynching of George Floyd, my soul had no choice, right? So even while I was getting together this morning with makeup and stuff, my mom and I and, the team here, we were having a conversation about just the fact that I've always been the type of person to speak up, right? I root for the underdog. I'm not going to let anybody be bullied in my presence. And I just had this overwhelming sense in my spirit that, like, I had to be a part of this movement. And another thing that solidified it for me was Raven Drummer, the casting director for Tyler Perry Studios. She does something called an Actor Minute Monday. So, if you're into acting, check her out, go to her page. And she posted and she said that artists have always been at the peak, you know what I'm saying, a part of the voice of the movement. You think about Nina Simone, you think about Harry Belafonte, think about, Muhammad Ali, like so many of those greats, like even Arthur Ashe, you know what I'm saying, with tennis, like so many of them stood up, right, when it was probably kind of scary for them, especially then. Right. And I was like, well, who am I? What I've been saying is, who am I not to shine, right? Who am I not to speak up? Why would I sit back and be quiet right now? And I couldn't allow myself to do it. And in the moment, like this viral video that went out, like it wasn't, if you're watching it, you can see that I walked up on those young ladies, and the mama in me and the teacher in me was not about to stand for that. Not on my watch, sweetheart, will you be out here playing these games. We're not doing that. And what kind of even amplified it for me was that I looked around and I saw people not saying something. And I'm like, the whole point in us being out here right now, Marie, is for us to be speaking up for these people who can't speak right now. That man said he couldn't breathe. He was on the ground and he said, they're gonna kill me. Mm-hmm. And I could not walk away from that moment without saying anything to those young ladies. They needed to know and understand where we're coming from when we talk about Black Lives Matter. And it's not a game. It might be a game for you with your little spray can, but it's not for me. So You know, and so after that, I think it was a little interesting moment for me because the show hadn't come out yet. And, you know, I was wondering how it would be received, but I knew that I could not speak. And luckily, it's all God. God gave me this voice and he wouldn't have given it to me if he didn't want me to use it. Right?
Right. Now, did this kind of empower you afterwards, speaking up?
Absolutely. Like I said, I went to sleep that night. I woke up and then it was viral, right? So I've had my followers grew after that, right? I've had a few people that are allies. I can consider them allies, or what we when we use the term allies. And honestly, they like really hit me up. They send me information. They send me people to follow. They ask me questions. You know, if I'm able to answer, I try to answer the question or send them a resource. So I think it has empowered me even more to, you know, to speak up. And, you know, like I was saying about my faith, is that it's just that he allowed this to happen at this time.
Right.
He made me teach for 13 years. He allowed me to use those experiences in the classroom to be able to talk now.
What grade did you teach?
I've taught from 3rd to 8th grades.
Oh, bless you. The babies.
The babies, yes. And the babies that think they're grown. But they are grown now. They hit me up in my DMs, girl. Look. But they're proud of me. So that's so awesome. I've had so many of them like hit me up and they're like, when I saw you on the TV, I screamed. I'm so proud of you, you know. And so I just hope that it speaks to them. And so I just know all of this is meant to be. I have a platform at a time where I'm able to talk about some things that I'm passionate about: film and television, education, and our youth. And that just is an awesome sweet spot for me. And I'm definitely going to use it to our advantage.
Now, let's pivot a little bit.
Okay.
And let's talk about, because you are a plus woman.
Yeah.
And you're a plus woman in entertainment. You're a plus woman in entertainment in a time where resources are limited, access is limited. So it's kind of like double, like layer. Mm-hmm. Like for you, how has this journey been being a plus woman in the acting space, in Hollywood?
It has been interesting, right? It isn't always easy, right? You're talking about when we have a photo shoot, right, for something that's coming up. Does the person that's, you know, does the fashion designer, do they know how to pull the right things, right? Or am I going to get to a rack where everything is, you know, too small, right, for me? Do they know what fits my curves and what looks good on me, right? And so I took a class, a PDP class, and one of the things that I think that class highlighted for me is that the belief that I can work right where I am.
Ooh. Now, what is PDP?
So it's Professional Development Program. It's a class that's taught at Richard Lawson Studios, and you're making short films and you're auditioning, right? And just seeing yourself every week and talking about things that you normally wouldn't talk about, and seeing yourself, right, in certain ways. And I mean, like, say for instance, like watching the show, I'm always doing this. I got my chin back, and you know, normally we're like, oh, trying to get rid of the chin, but I'm like, that's my chin, and I'm good with that chin. Right? Like,
so it's kind of like a confidence and like learning how to own every bit of your body as an actor in this space.
And that takes work, Marie. That takes a lot of
you have to learn your angles.
You have to learn, right? It's technique, it's contouring, and it's the self-work. You know what I'm saying? It's to say, like, because it's about representation. Like, what are we talking about right now? We're talking about, you know, Black Lives Matter and representation on television, right? But we're talking about representation in all things. And one of the reasons why, you know, I felt so passionate about this and making sure that I was an example for women, right? We want to see people that look like ourselves. Exactly. So I want to see somebody that got all of what I got on TV, right? And using it, right? And just a shout out, like while we're talking about it, I want to shout out my Tyler Perry Studio family, because looking at this show, like, it's something that I'm proud of, right? I think the wardrobe did a great job, like we were talking about, making sure I didn't feel like I was always tucking and hiding or whatever the case may be. They put me in things that were comfortable and I was able to be. They have me looking good. I'm able to play and have a beautiful relationship with my television husband. You know, so we need to see that not just skinny women have husbands, honey. We got husbands too.
That part.
And they like it. And he like all of it, right? You know what I'm saying? So come on, somebody. Yeah. So I want to represent for us. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be perfect. And it takes work, but we're here. So I'm glad the industry is evolving, and I'm glad to be here at the brink of this and helping them evolve.
So, you know, I'm curious, as you're like, so because you have been kind of, how do you say, like, very fortunate to be surrounded in a work environment that gives you the tools, like the clothing, like the love and support, in the sense that you're able to confidently kind of show up and be in this space, especially as you said when you first started. And you know, you look over there and there's David and Tamela Mann, you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, or you look over there and there's Tyler Perry, and you know, you have all these different folks, and then you're like, you know, you're yourself, you're as a plus person, as an actor, as someone, you have all of these things that are kind of going through your head. Like, how do you kind of find your center in that?
How do you find your center? You know, I have a great support system, one, right? Like, I mean, of course we keep God first and we work on ourselves, but I think a great support system is so important. You have to have some people around you that are willing to help support you and lift you up, because it can be very interesting in this industry. Right. And so I just pray that my circle is tight, right? And I pray for discernment. So if I have to kick some people out, then I know how to close the circle back up. Because he said no weapon formed against you shall prosper. He didn't say it wouldn't come. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes, I need my support system and my base to, you know, have that. Like, there's an actress, Braley, I don't know if you know her, but the other day she was talking and she said, you need to have your business team together, right? And I was listening and I was like, okay. And she was like, and if you can't afford a team, then you need to get about 3 or 4 of your good friends or family, and they're your business team at first. And that's what I have. Like, my auntie, my mama, and my sister cousins, that's like the first line of defense. So when I'm checking pictures, somebody says something, honey, I'm texting them. Like, for the show, Tyler Perry on the first day prayed, and he was like, you know, we have to pray for our haters too, because they're out there. You know, people have their opinions about, you know, him and his films and television and plays, right? But you always have people in their opinions. So when the comments started to come up in the thread that weren't so nice and friendly, you know, after you've gone and done all of this hard work, about, like, that's what y'all got to say. Like, that makes me emotional now. I'm a crier, but I'm just like, you're not even looking at all of what we had to do to get here. I mean, and you don't know my journey,
right? And I think, you know, especially now, it's like it's like there's so much other, like, there's other things that are like
happening,
right? Like, right now,
but y'all be talking about this. Oh, whatever you want to say about the show. So my auntie called me. She FaceTimed me, and she was like, "Don't you get in those comments? Don't you get in there?"
They always tell you don't read the comments.
I know, but sometimes, especially when it's new, you can't help it, because I'm excited. I wanna see if people love the show. You know what I'm saying? Are y'all laughing with me? Like, it's like I've worked in this industry for 12 years before I got this moment to be on television. So for you to get on here, and because you have a little time, you want to throw all of these things out there, it doesn't feel good. I'm human.
No, it doesn't. But let me
my base, keeping that support system. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. So your support system, having that. We actually referenced that a couple interviews ago, and someone was talking about how it's important to have your group, your circle,
Yes.
And I will say, like, I wouldn't have even started the Curvy Fashionista had I not had my circle, because I lost my job on Friday the 13th in March 2009.
Oh,
And
right.
my girlfriends, all my girls, was like, nah, you doing this now, girl. You going. Like, I don't even think I had time to like mourn and cry and be sad. They were like, go.
Yeah. No, they don't give you an opportunity to breathe. You just gotta jump.
Right.
And then your wings start filling out. You know what I'm saying?
You're building your wings as you.
Yeah. You like, oh, hold on, I gotta stay up here. Wait.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you something, Marie. That's my birthday, March 13th.
Oh, wow.
So you started, and that's also the day that Breonna Taylor was murdered. So I think we should always, I just want to shout that queen out because she was another plus size queen.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at just the beautiful pictures of her, you know, so that day, good for you, right? Because you got out on that thing, and it's my birthday, so I've had to deal with a few Friday the 13th, and
oh my gosh,
good for me. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. So I'm glad somebody pushed you out. And you know what's funny? So to go back to me teaching, I had a teacher that came, one of my fellow teachers on my team. He and his wife came to a play I was doing when I was still doing both things, right? And he walked in my classroom one afternoon to tell me how great the show was or whatever. And he looked at me, he said, so when you gonna stop doing both of these things part-time?
Oh.
And I said, wow. So that was twofold, right, for me, because I never want to look at the kids and what I was doing for education as part-time, because they need somebody full-time. And not that I was giving them part-time energy, but, you know, I knew what he was saying.
But, but it's interesting.
The next year, I resigned from education and moved to LA.
You know, it's interesting to that point. Like, oftentimes we are given visions or given motivations or dreams or inspirations of the things we want to do, and oftentimes we'll only baby step in them. Or only, you know, dip our toes, or we feel like we need to have extra help to do them, or we feel like we, you know, they have to be back here. And one of the things that I've seen through this pandemic, because I also feel, because I kind of feel like it's kind of like you're doubting God, you're doubting the universe, or you're questioning like the things that are for you, right? Like when you don't just take that full step on, and how you're supposed to, right? But what I've witnessed over this pandemic is there have been so many people who have pivoted, who have shifted, and who have leaned into those dreams, leaned into those goals, leaned into those ambitions. And I'm curious for you, how did you, or have you found yourself leaning into things, this especially now, like that you were kind of either thinking about, wondering about, but hadn't really done it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, like my husband and I are writing a script, right? So yeah, and this is something I've talked about for years. I had an incident with a student. I ended up having to have surgery. And so it's been on my heart and mind to try to figure out my way of telling that story and, you know, creating. And it's something that just brings so much trauma to me. It was an experience that I think every time I got close to it, I kind of stepped back. And this time, an opportunity to sit with my thoughts, to sit with myself, to sit with God, sit with my husband. It was like, we can't continue to wait, right? And we have to create and be our own plan A, right? Build it and they will come.
You know, it's interesting. You know, oftentimes we don't know how strong we are, how dope we are, how blessed we are, like until we like take those steps of faith, until we lean into. And, you know, through this, there have been, you know, I've seen many indie designers like pivot to add masks and like add other things, and their business is kind of rounded out and they're doing better now than they were doing pre-pandemic. Like you have other creators who have like pivoted and launching new projects. This time is like a very interesting time where people have just sat back and she said, April said, be your own plan A. I like that.
Come on, girl. Come on, April. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean that's real. Like, and so, how do you find this time to really learn how to be your own plan A?
Yes.
I'm gonna steal that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I tell my friends we got to come out of this thing millionaires or have our millionaire plans together. You know what I'm saying? Like if you are sitting here and not coming up with your plan, I'm not talking about thoughts. We got to write that thing down, baby. Put it up on a wall, put it up on a post-it note so you can see it and remind yourself how great you are. Who are you not to shine, right? I need you to be shining, baby, so the rest of us can shine. And we have to lean into that. So I'm glad you're saying that. And like one of my allies that I met, right, started a magazine during this